The dominant spirit, however, that haunts this enchanted region and seems to be commander-in-chief of all the powers of the air in the apparition of a figure on horseback without a head. It is said by some to be the ghost of a Hessian trooper whose head has been carried away by a cannonball and in some nameless battle during the Revolutionary War, and who is ever and anon seen by the country folk, hurrying along the gloom of night as if on the wings of the wind. His haunts are not confined to the valley, but extend at times to the adjacent roads and especially to the vicinity of a church at no great distance. We're all familiar with the Hessian ghost of the legend of Sleepy Hollow. But did you know New Jersey has its own Hessian ghost? And we're going to talk about that next, right here in the library on The Guild.
Tell stories of the things unseen, of foxes wild and spirits keen. Whispers in the stacks they creep, ghostly chills that steal your sleep. Paranormal truths no one believes, they linger here like autumn's leaves. Bibles open to verses dark, stories written to leave their mark. The wildlife outside hears the moans, silent foxes, the forest groans. The last of these you cannot tame, a history buff who knows no shame. Paranormal life outside hears the moans, silent foxes, the forest groans. The past a beast you cannot tame, a history buff who knows no shame. Paranormal tales in every spine, haunting truths that cross the line. Whispers in the stacks they creep, ghostly chills that steal your sleep. Paranormal truths no one believes, they linger here like autumn's leaves. Spirits waltz through moonlit air, books fall down as if to dare. Foxes howl in the wooded shade, they guard the truths that time forbade.
All right, everyone, and welcome, welcome, welcome to the library. It is a wonderful evening here on Friday, September 26th, I think it is. Let's get myself on camera here. As you can see, Lenny and Victor and Edgar are all eager to go. We weren't here last week, so we're more than eager this week to catch up and with everyone here. And thanks everyone in the chat for hanging out. Paulie Donuts, look at this. This is awesome. Thank you so much. You are the best. Thank you, Paulie. That is awesome. Let me say hello to everyone. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go. I only have 3 stories tonight. And usually I have 5, usually 5, 6, it depends. But I figure let's slow it down a bit. Let's talk about each story individually. Take our time. I want to get your reaction to the stories, and then we'll move on from there. And then I have some paranormal videos, and hopefully some of my cohorts will come up and help me debunk these paranormal videos that seem to be circling the internet every week. So the usual here at the Guild. So thank you so much for joining. First of all, let me say hello to each and every one of you. Hello, Gina. Hello, Brian. Hello, Magooch. Hello, Mustang Mike. Hello, Dave T. CG2 is in the house. Todd Father is here. So is Tommy Stiggs. Bella is here. Hi, Bella. I haven't seen you in a while. Great to see you tonight. As it Paulie Donuts came in. That was awesome. Thank you so much for that donation. Who else is here? I don't want to miss anyone. I saw Tammy Thompson is here. I saw Zelda is here. Sweet Tea, the author of that wonderful intro that I love so much, is here. Who else is in the house? Zelda made a donation. Thank you, Zelda. That is awesome. Thank you so much, guys. That is so great. It really shows me how much you appreciate. That's awesome. Thank you. Ryan Breen is here. Hello, Ryan. Good to see you. Delilah, of course, is here. Always a supporter. Always here. Anybody else? Is Theendu here? I don't know. I didn't see Theendu. Let me see. Maybe he's fast asleep, which I understand. I get it. That's his MO. I know how it goes. But anyone else coming in late, I'm sorry I missed you, but I will get you when I see you. But thank you all so much for joining me this evening. Yes, Mustang, old school is right. Reagan Bush 84 is the way to go. My favorite. All right. Let's talk about what we're doing tonight. So we have 3 ghost stories. They all take place in New Jersey, or they originate in New Jersey. So I'm kind of staying home still with the New Jersey. There is Theendu. Hello, my brother. Thank you for coming in. I knew you were here. I just didn't see you. I didn't see you before. So I'm sticking with New Jersey for a while here. I think this is the 3rd one in a row I've done in New Jersey. Well, next week we're going to get into October, and the October thumbnails are up, which are very Halloween themed the whole month. So we're kind of set for that. But this is, I think, my last New Jersey one for at least a month. And we're really in South Jersey. These 3 stories take place in South Jersey, and they're quite interesting because I never knew about them. So I doubt you did. And I focus on this stuff, and I never knew about them. So like my intro said, we're going to talk about a Hessian ghost in New Jersey. And that'll be my last story. So stick around for that. But let's start off with Burlington County, which is very South Jersey, very piney, where the pines are down there. But let's talk about Burlington County Prison. Now, this place was originally built in the year 1811. Now, think about that, how long ago that was. That is more than 200 years ago. This structure was originally built, and it was built as a territorial prison at the time for the state's, or at least the southern part of the state's worst criminals would be housed here, mostly waiting for execution. So not your finest folks. Hello, Arlene. Good to see you. Thank you for coming in. And this remained a prison up until 1965, believe it or not. In one shape or form, it was a prison. 1965, it closes. Since then, it has become a museum, a historical museum, and you can take tours of this, which I think is awesome, and something that I want to do. I want to definitely take a tour of this place because the history is just overwhelming. I want to see what's in here and what went on here over the years. But and this is located in Mount Holly, New Jersey. That's the actual town that it's in. Excuse me. Now, over the years that this was a prison, 35 inmates were executed on site, all hanged. So you can imagine such a negative energy happening here that there's possibility that there would be ghosts here. Stiggs wants to do a tour. All right, let's do it. Let's do a tour. And in a minute, I'm going to show you what it looks like. But over the years, like I said, 35 inmates were executed. There were also many prison breaks over the years where jail guards, lost their lives in the process. So there's a lot of death that happened around this particular structure, and thus a lot of potential for paranormal activity. Now, let me see if I can show you real quick what I'm talking about here so that you get a good idea of what I'm talking about. Let's put it that way. All right, here we go. This is what it looks like. Now, the gray part, which is farther, is the older part. That is the part that was originally built in the early 1800s, this gray portion back here. And then this is an additional portion that was added on in the Gothic architectural structure style of the late 1800s, mid 1800s, like 1850s, 1860s, that type. That's when this particular structure was added on. So you have a very old building with multiple areas to it. Now, and this sign up here just says historical prison, blah, 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 because as you can see, it's an active place for historical tours. So you can see that right there. All right. Now, what goes on in this prison? What goes on in this particular site that is paranormal? What's going on? Well, from what people say, there's quite a bit of activity in this building, in this structure. It is said that on the third floor, no electronic equipment will work or will, at a minimum, malfunction. Electronic equipment always malfunctions. So it's very difficult to take digital photos on the third floor, as well as broadcast or record on the third floor of this building. There's something that is inherently interfering with the electrical magnetic forces that take place there. So you can't use devices there very effectively. They're always going to be interrupted or there'll be problems with it. Now, in 1833, also a long time ago, there was a convicted felon by the name of Joel Clogg, Claugh, a convicted felon, not a nice guy at all, a pretty bad guy, a pretty sinister guy. In fact, he was convicted of killing his girlfriend at the time, stabbing her over 30 times with a knife. Now, think about, we're talking about 1833 and how heinous of a crime this must have been at that time. You know, in this day and age, we're kind of desensitized to this type of violence and this type of domestic violence. But back then, it must have been horrific to deal with this. You know, people must have been so horrified and shocked. So Joel here, our buddy Joel Clogg, was quickly indicted and convicted and brought to Burlington County Prison and set to be hanged. Now, he is successful in a prison break, believe it or not. He escapes. He's quickly caught by sheriff's deputies and brought back and because of that, while he's waiting for his execution date, he's put in something called the dungeon, which is the lowest level of this structure, the basement of the structure. So he could not escape again. And that area eventually becomes known as the dungeon or the death house, the death cell. In other words, anyone who gets executed or is about to be executed is put into this part of the prison. And that's where he spent all of his time after his recapture from from escaping. And comes 1833. His execution occurs, and he is put to death by hanging in the yard directly outside the prison. And back then, it was quite common for prisoners to just be hanged right outside of the area where they were held. And that's what happened to this gentleman. I use the word lightly, gentleman. But it seems that once he was executed, his body, they simply dug a hole there and dumped his body into the hole and left him there unceremoniously. So there was such a despicable opinion of this individual for what he had done and how he had done that they didn't even give him last rites. They didn't have a priest or a reverend, and we move probably more so a reverend than a priest, uh, read over him or do anything like that. So this body was simply dumped in a hole and left there. And now nobody knows exactly where it is on the premises, but he is said to his remains are still buried there somewhere on the premises. Now, and as a result, over the years, people have said they have seen his spirit materialize on the premises. And this happened quite a while ago. Originally was seen almost instantly. His spirit was almost instantly. Accounts going back to the mid 1800s, where people have encountered or wrote about seeing the spirit of Joel Clogg, usually sitting in the death cell, sitting there solemnly wearing his gray outfit that he was put to death in, and will simply turn and look at you with a very sorrowful look on his face, and then disappear, materialize and then disappear. And this has been going on for decades and centuries, actually, centuries, that old Joel doesn't seem to want to cross over, doesn't want to leave, probably because he knows what's waiting for him on the other side, which is not good after what he did. Hello, Marta. Good to see you, Marta. Now, in addition to what I mentioned before about Joel and seeing his spirit there, there's also been spirits seen of guards, of former guards there, and one of the main ones is a tall male guard in full dress, full uniform dress, that is seen walking and patrolling the basement of the structure. No one knows exactly who he is. It could have been one that was killed in an escape, trying to stop an escape, but he seems to still walk his rounds in the basement, in the death cells areas. So you have Joel's spirit that will materialize down there, as well as this guard. Excuse me. Now, it is said that in the 1980s, when they were refurbishing this place, they were doing a lot of restoration in the 1980s, that the workers on this premises encountered a lot of inexplicable activity. Hello, Debbie. Oh, hello. Who's Debbie? I don't know. You're a moderator, so that name is different. I don't recognize that name. But anyway, I must know who you are because you're a moderator. So welcome and thank you for coming in. So during the 1980s, they're refurbishing, they're restoring is what they're doing. The workers there encountered a lot of activity. In fact, disappearing tools that would vanish and then appear inside lockers of the workers. And it got to the point where they were so disturbed by this that workers wouldn't work on the place, and they had to keep changing the work crews. In fact, the Burlington County Board of Freeholders at the time ordered a paranormal investigation to take place because there was so much activity. So it's something that's that was what, 40 years ago, and it was serious enough for a government body to order an investigation to try to figure out what was going on here. Now, what has come of the investigation, I don't really know. I couldn't really find any documented evidence around it, but there were some pictures taken, and I want to show you one of the pictures, which they think this is a picture of the guard that I mentioned before, the tall guard that walks at night. I mean, that walks in the basement doing his rounds. So let me see if I can pull this up, because I want you to see this picture and tell me what you think of it. Thought it was pretty cool. Here is the picture. Let me put it on full screen if that's better. Now, this is taken with an infrared camera in one of the cells in the basement. Now, if you look at this, you can clearly see an image of a person. You see the head. You see what kind of looks like the bottom of a uniform here at the bottom, like a jacket of a uniform. And it said that when they took this picture, they were in the dark because they were doing a paranormal investigation, but they didn't see anybody. They didn't see anybody there. And this is what showed up on the camera. So quite a creepy little photo of what might be the tall guard that seems to be still patrolling the basement of this structure. So it's good to give you a chill, this picture. Gave me one looking at this picture. So that could very well be the ghost, or it could be Joel for all we know. It could be Joel Clogg, but I don't know. I don't know about that because I think I don't think he'd be dressed like this. I don't think he'd be dressed in a uniform. And this tends to look to me like it's a uniform and there's a hat being worn here. So who knows? So there you have it. And that's the story of Burlington County Prison, which to this day can be taken as a tour. You can go there on an historical tour. I'm sure it's pretty fun. I would love to go and do it. I probably will one of these days. I'll drive down there and take a historical tour. But who knows? You might see some type of activity, some type of strange activity in Burlington County Prison. After all, the place is more than 200 years old. So there you have it. Joel Clogg and the prison of Burlington County, New Jersey. All right. What did you think of that? All right. What do we got here? I'm just looking at the chat and see what you guys are up to while I'm reading my stories, or telling my stories, I should say. Oh, Deborah Roberts. Oh, okay. That's who it is. All right. Welcome, Deborah. Great to see you. All right. I didn't know who it was. All right. Delilah says, whatever it is, it's very creepy. I agree. It's very, very creepy. It's definitely an image of something. It's definitely an image of what appears to be a bodily shape. So I don't know. And infrared, it's an infrared shot. So who knows? Definitely worth looking at or checking into. All right. All right, so let's go on to our second story. Let me just get a drink so I don't have to constantly clear my throat. All right. Oh, just one thing. This book, The Legend of Sleepy Hollow, this paperback I've had since I was 8 years old. I mean, and you could see it's kind of falling apart. But what I wanted to show you is these things that I use as bookmarks. They're called book darts. They are pretty cool. If you are a reader of traditional hard books, these things are awesome because you just put them on the page at the section you want to read or remember where you were, and it marks them right there. They're pretty cool. You get them on. I got mine on Amazon. They come in a little container like this, and they're kind of magnetic. They all stick together, but they're little metal things. You put them in the page, and you know exactly where you left off. It's pretty cool. So I just thought I'd share that. I don't get any monetary kickback for this. I just thought I shared something that I like to use, and it's helpful, especially if you want to document a particular part of a page and reference it real quickly. Columbo, yes, Mustang. Mike, yes, Mustang. I am Columbo, yes. All right, let's go on to story number two. Now, story number two is the ghost of Ezekiel Smith and Smithville Mansion. Now, this the background to this story is much more interesting than the ghost part of this. I'm telling you right now, because it's stranger than life, the whole background that leads up to this. But it takes place in Smithville, New Jersey, which is in South Jersey again, South Jersey. And it's all about Ezekiel Smith. Now, Ezekiel Smith was a quite a famous guy for the time that he was around. He died in 1887, but before he died, he was a U.S. congressman. He was an inventor. He invented many things, and he was quite eccentric. He was quite eccentric, bizarre, weird, very weird. He was also a bigamist. He was married to two women at the same time. And if you know anything about the time period, that was not something that was very tolerable in the 1800s, the mid to late 1800s. But let's get back to what we're talking about here. So Smithsville is part of Mount Holly, New Jersey. Now, this area in the mid 1800s was a the beginning of an industrial area. There was a place called the Shreveville Factory, which would produce various textiles. Thank you, Donna. That's all. Thank you. That's so kind of you. Awesome. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And thank you for hanging out. Hey, Gen X, good to see you, buddy. So happy to see you. yes, he married to an yes. Yeah, I guess you could say that. Yes, you could say that. You could. Grateful, good to see you. Grateful, hi. How are you? All right. So, what happens? The Shriksville factory, textile factory, burns down in 1857. And when that happens, the area basically collapses economically, industrially, it breaks down. All these people are out of work, everything. Well, it just so happens that Mr. Ezekiel Smith, who came from some money, comes down from Boston. I'm sorry, Vermont, comes from New England, from Vermont, travels to New Jersey, buys up basically the whole town. And this is where the name Smithville comes from. He renames the town Smithville after himself. You know, why not? He bought it. Sure, why not? He'll do that. Hey, Bobo, good to see you, buddy. He names the town Smithville after him. He's a modest kind of guy, I guess. So what does he do? He builds factories, he builds a theater, so he basically makes it a town. He makes it a town again. And he also uses it as an opportunity to use some of his inventions. Like I told you, he's an inventor. So he comes up with a lot of weird inventions. And eventually he runs for Congress too. Now, basically this becomes a company town, right? Everybody works at his factories. Everybody lives there, works at his factories. So what he designed is something called and this is interesting. He designed something called the Hotchkiss Bicycle Railway. Now, and what this thing was it was a railway in the town which had bicycles attached to it, and people would take these bicycles, get onto the rail with these bicycles, and drive to work and then drive home. So it was something that connected the people to the factories. Now, I have a picture of this, and I want to show you this because it's quite interesting. Like I said, the story behind this is so fascinating. Before we even get to him being a spirit or a ghost, it's kind of weird, the whole thing. So let's see if I can show you the bicycle here. Let's see, where did it go? Here it is. This is what he designed. Now, this thing would be on a rail. And it would have bicycle wheels. And you could see in the picture to the left there, this is how the people would ride this thing. They would kind of get on it like a horse and pedal, and it would ride along and it would take them from the factory to their house and vice versa. So quite a crafty invention, I guess. All it was human powered, and it got people from way to the other. It got them to work, got them home without expending the need for horses or carriages or anything like that. So I guess it was quite a hit in the town. It never caught on beyond the town itself. Like, it wasn't like you saw this pop up in other towns all over the place, but it was something that was a hit here, and it worked for him. So there it is, the Hotchkiss Bicycle Railway. So quite an interesting little thing that he came up with there. All right. Now, in 1878, he becomes a congressman. And this is where he really gets a little weird. It really starts to get to him, his ego. In fact, what he does is he hires a band to follow him around wherever he goes. So he had a marching band that would follow him around wherever he goes and play his theme music, his theme song. So whenever you knew when Ezekiel Smith was coming by, because you'd hear the band playing. So he had his own theme music. He shows up wherever he goes, it's Ezekiel. So you better be prepared. So talk about an egomaniac. This was the guy. And quite eccentric, like I said. Who's going to walk around with a band playing music for them? Well, Ezekiel loved to do it. Now, let's get back to the whole family thing with the marriages, the multiple marriages. So in Vermont, he's married. He has a wife and he has a couple of kids. He is what they call a free spirit, and he decided he was leaving. He decided he was going to go to New Jersey to explore and do other things, and that's what he did, and that's where it led. He left Vermont, left his wife, left his kids, went down there, and starts over. And buys Smithville, creates Smithville, does all this, creates a theater, creates a town, builds all this stuff with his money, builds his inventions, etc. And in the process, he falls in love with a woman by the name of Agnes. And he's madly in love with Agnes. In fact, he builds a statue of Agnes that he keeps in his garden outside Smithville Mansion, which I'll show you a picture of in a second. And now this becomes quite a scandal when it's found out, when the people of Smithville find out that he's indeed previously married, because look, they're not going to tolerate this stuff, but they do anyway, right? What are they going to do about it? He eventually gets to, let's see, who's this? Woe Riders DG. Welcome. I think you're new. Welcome. Thank you for coming in. Great to see you from Florida. That's awesome. Yeah, he had a gumad. Yes, he had a gumad, but he didn't have a gumad. He had two wives. So he falls in love with Agnes and he marries her. Now, this did not sit well with his previous wife, nor did it sit well with his son, who was now an adult, and they despised him because of this. Now, Agnes did quite well with being married to Ezekiel. He pays for her to become a doctor. She goes to school, becomes a doctor. Think about that. A women doctor in the late 1800s, quite an accomplishment. But with his financing, he gets it done, and she becomes the town doctor. Unfortunately, she dies of cancer at the young age of 41. And when she dies, he builds a monument to her with the statue. The statue becomes part of the monument, where he builds all of this. And I'm gonna show you right now what I think. I have a picture of what it looked like. It's because it doesn't fully exist, and I'll tell you why it doesn't fully exist now. But I'm going to show you what I think it looked like in a second here. Hold on. Well, first of all, let's show you what Smith Manor looks like. This is Smith Manor. Quite a nice, stately manor. Right now, I believe it is a restaurant. It's turned into a restaurant, but at the time, this was the place to be. This is the lord of the manor, in a traditional sense. This was the main house. This is where he hung out. This is where he ruled over Smithville from this house. And this is where Agnes lived as well. And it was in the backyard of this or in the grounds of this where Agnes is buried. And her statue was put on top of her grave, her mausoleum, or whatever it might be. All right, let's close that out. Let's see if I can show you what she looked like, because believe it or not, I found a picture of her, I believe, somewhere in here. What did I do with it? I thought I did. Well, first of all, let's go back and let me show you what old Ezekiel looked like. This is what he looked like. This was him younger, and this was him older. So he wasn't like a handsome guy for sure, but I guess money talks, and it got him 2 wives. So this is what he looked like. This is what this kook looked like. And as you can see, he dies in 1887. Born in 1816, dies in 1887. But he outlives Agnes to his dismay because he was devastated by her dying. And so let's get rid of this. That's what our buddy looks like. That's our boy looks like, so to speak. And I thought I had a picture of Agnes, but I'm kind of annoyed. I do not seem to see it here. I don't know what happened to it. Let me try this one more time. Because from all accounts, she was a pretty woman. She was someone that people thought was pretty. Here she is. So this is Agnes Gilkerson Smith, Dr. Agnes Gilkerson Smith. She became a doctor, and she dies at the age of 41. Now, to the side here, this is what her monument looked like. There's a statue of her in here. Now, this no longer exists, and I'm going to tell you why. Because when Ezekiel himself dies, he did not have any children with Agnes. So his heirs are the children of his first marriage. So his son comes down to New Jersey, and his son holds a grudge. He is not interested in this at all. And in fact, what he wants to do is dig up Ezekiel and take his remains back to Vermont and put his remains next to his mother's. For whatever reason, I don't know. I guess in his eyes, he thought that I don't know. I guess in his eyes, he thought that she belonged, they belonged together, even though he left her. But that was his plan. Now, Ezekiel knew that this was going to happen. So this is what Ezekiel does before he gets it, because he knew his present wife had died. He knew that his son was bitter and held a grudge against him. I can't blame the son. Why not? But this is what this crafty, kooky guy did. He made arrangements for when he was to die to be placed in a steel coffin. And the steel coffin would be encased in a giant brick cement area, so it was impossible to move. Now, this became of legend. Now, some people thought at the time that he must have been a vampire, because why would he go to the trouble of encasing himself in a steel coffin in cement? And this is a picture of him with his steel coffin that he designed, which he was eventually buried in. And like I said, it was in a whole big thing of cement, a huge encasement of cement. So when he dies, this happens. Now his son comes down. He's already buried at this time. Ezekiel's already buried next to Agnes, where he wanted to be. Ezekiel's son orders the exhuming of the body, because as the only heir, he had the right, I guess, to do that. Well, he fails miserably, because when they try to exhume him, they hit the cement and they can't do it. They can't get past the cement. It's just too much. It will cost too much money. It would, it's just a tremendous effort to try to remove the coffin from the cement and get the body and transform it wherever the son wanted it. So basically, Ezekiel outwits his son and prevents him from the grave. He prevents him from moving him to go up back to Vermont. So he's stuck there next to Agnes. But the son is not to be easily beaten. So what he does is, being the bitter guy that he is, and that he can't move his father, he smashes Agnes's statue and mausoleum monument completely, destroys it, has it crushed into powder, and all that's left there next to him is her grave and a small tombstone. He had everything that Ezekiel created destroyed of Agnes, because he was not happy with what happened. So all this weird story around Ezekiel Smith and what happens, how do we get to have a ghost? Well, the first sighting of Ezekiel's ghost happens in 1891, not long after his death, 4 years after his death. In fact, a night watchman on the estate, because the estate is still present, sees his materialized spirit come about, walking around, and it is believed that his spirit is looking for Agnes, looking for a way to, looking to see what happened, how the statue is gone. Very curious. He's a very curious spirit, trying to figure out what happened, as if he doesn't know that his son took these measures for him. Now, this was actually reported in the Washington Evening Post in 1891, if you can believe that. So this made a story in the Washington Evening Post that the night watchman had several sightings of this particular ghost or spirit. And in fact, the first night watchman has these encounters, and he is so distraught from these encounters that he eventually becomes insane and has to be put into an insane asylum. Now, it wasn't like they put him in an insane asylum because he saw the ghost. It was because he became such a nervous wreck from this experience and seeing the spirit that he, began to exhibit schizophrenic behavior, like very crazy behavior, very insane behavior, and had to be put in an asylum. But lo and behold, he's gone. That night watchman's gone. And the next night watchman has the same experience, seeing the ghost of Ezekiel rising from the grave and walking about, looking around the grounds. So this particular occurrence seems to happen over and over again. There's also a lot of orbs that are said to be on the premises, and specifically in the house, in the Smithville mansion, as well as in the grounds where the bodies are buried. So a lot of traditional ghostly activity, orbs, lights, unexplainable orbs all around the premises there. And it's all believed to be Ezekiel himself, just being so distraught over not being connected with Agnes like he wanted to, because of his son's interference, smashing up her monument and trying to disturb his grave. It seems that his spirit has been in a constant disturbance itself. So there you have it. Ezekiel Smith, the bigamist, the inventor, the congressman with his own marching band that walks around, and the creator of the steel coffin encased in cement. His steel coffin and his cement couldn't prevent his spirit from rising, though, because it's still hanging around on the grounds. So there you have it. The ghost of Smithville Mansion and the grounds of Smithville Mansion old Ezekiel Smith himself. There you have your second story of the evening. All right. All right, Paulie. Yeah, no, thank you. Enjoy. Yes, claustrophobia. Claustrophobia is right. I don't blame you. I don't blame you on that. All right. All right. So let's get to our main story, our main and final story of the evening. Our own Hessian from New Jersey. Now, hold on a second here. Let's see. All right. Now, Count Karl Ulrich von Dunlop. That's his name. That is our Hessian ghost. Count von Dunlop. Von Dunlop. Donop. Von Dunlop. Now, as you may know, and I'm sure you do, during the Revolutionary War, the British employed a lot of Hessian mercenaries and brought them to America to wreak havoc. In fact, they were greatly feared by the Americans, greatly feared for their brutality as well as their reputation of not giving quarter, not taking prisoners, just very scary fighting men, mercenaries. Well, Count von Dunlop was Hessian royalty, a count. He was royal. And he commanded 1,200 soldiers himself in the colonies during the Revolutionary War. Now, let me show you what Karl looked like himself. Obviously, we don't have a picture of him, a photograph of him, but we do have a painting of him. Hold on here. What did I do with the painting? Oh, here it is. There he is. Count von Dunlop. That was him as a young man. And as royalty, of course, he had pictures. He had, paintings made of him. An average person would not have a painting, but someone who was of royal blood would have a painting. So that's Karl von Dunlop. And he becomes our spirit. He becomes our ghost. Now, Count von Dunlop was, like I said, led 1,200 soldiers. And throughout the Revolutionary War, he was in several battles. He was in the battles of Brooklyn Heights. He was in the Battle of Harlem Heights. And he was in the Battle of White Plains, which is interestingly enough, because the Battle of White Plains is really where the Headless Horseman comes from. It's that battle where a Hessian loses his head in the battle. So he was there as well. A large contingent of Hessians in that particular battle. It is also said that at the time of the Battle of Trenton, the famous Battle of Trenton, when George Washington crosses the Delaware and has this decisive victory over the Hessians in Trenton, it is said that Count von Dunlop, could have prevented that from happening. And he kind of got the blame for that happening because at the time he had been ill and he had been being taken care of by a rich widow in the Philadelphia area. And they said that he liked his ladies a little too much and that he prolonged his illness stay under the care of this woman much longer than he had to. And as a result, his 1,200 soldiers were not where they should have been. They were stationed with him in Philadelphia and not in Trenton, where they could have supported the other Hessians that were already there. So just a side note that he was kind of blamed whispering campaign on the British side for the loss of Trenton to George Washington. So anyway, this is where we have Count von Dunlop. So Count von Dunlop takes his 1,200 soldiers and invades the town of Haddonfield, New Jersey, which is in South Jersey, southwestern New Jersey, and takes over the town quite easily. Not a lot of resistance in Haddonfield, and which is kind of common at the time, is they take over houses. They take over houses once they conquer a town or they take possession of a town. They take the best houses for themselves. And von Dunlop was no different. He took on what was called Greenfield Hall, which was the grandest house in Haddonfield, and he took it for his residency while he's there. So there was, today you could go to Mercer County. It's in Mercer County, and you could also visit Red Bank Battlefield Park, which is where a lot of the battles took place, and he was there as well. But like I said, he seizes the town, and he also seizes this house, and he takes up residence there as well. Well, the ultimate plan in seizing Haddonfield was really to go and attack a fort that was held by the Patriots, a fort that was held not very far away called Fort Mercer. Now, Fort Mercer, you may know or you may not know, there's something called the Battle of Fort Mercer, and that's the battle that will ensue. Von Dunlop is the aggressor here. It's the Hessians that attack the fort that's protected by or defended by the Patriots, and ultimately the Hessians lose here again. And why they lose is because while Dunlop is having a banquet in Greenfield Hall, a local farm boy who was working in the stable there overhears the plan to attack Fort Mercer. He slips away in the night, goes to the fort, and warns them. So the next morning, when Dunlop marches his troops to attack Fort Mercer, they are ready and waiting for him, and they have cannons ready. And what happens is they get blasted by the Americans. They get completely destroyed by the Americans. They have 500 wounded out of their 1,200. 400 are killed on sight, and they have to retreat. And it's in this battle that Dunlop himself gets mortally wounded. He's taken back to Greenfield Hall and eventually dies on the premises. Not maybe a day or two after the battle, he dies. October 25th, 1777 is where he dies in Greenfield Hall. Now, after that occurs, strange things happen in Greenfield Hall, which lends itself to many to believe that the spirit of Count von Dunlop is there and active. Count von Dunlop is also described, in this way, where he has these glowing eyes. So the spirit materializes in full bodily spirit, in full uniform, his Hessian uniform, but having these glowing, scary glowing eyes. And he will walk around with a candle, kind of looking for something, wandering about, looking for I don't know what, but he is looking for something. And as you can see in the back, there's Greenfield Hall. I didn't show you an actual picture of Greenfield Hall, but I will in a second. Now, his appearance, the appearance of his spirit has happened so many times over the years. Greenfield Hall right now is a historical site. Not a surprise, right? Historical sites, perfect for ghosts to hang out in. And the folks that work this historical site have such an encounter, have had so many, I should say, so numerous encounters with von Dunlop, that they actually welcome him at times by putting candles in the window as a symbol, because he would walk around with a candle. They would put a candle in the window telling him that he's welcome. I guess he's not harmless. I mean, I guess he's harmless. I guess he doesn't do much harm or anything to that because they welcome him there. Now, Dunlop, when he dies, so when Dunlop dies, let me get this off so just you can just, I can also show you what Greenfield Manor looks like because there's a creepier part of this. Because when Dunlop dies on the premises, he is, where are we here? Where is my manor? Where is my, I can't seem to find it. I don't like this when this happens. Oh, here it is. Here's Greenfield Manor, or Greenfield Hall, I should say, Greenfield Hall. Now, specifically, the room where he died is where the activity happens. There's a specific room in this building where a lot of the activity happens. The lights turn on and off. There's sounds. There's creaking that's unexplainable. Walking, the creaking of walking where no one's around. So a lot of activity in that particular area. Now, the creepy part about all of this is when he dies, he's buried on the premises. Again, his body is buried on the premises. And there was a huge tombstone created for him at the time. Because remember, when he dies, the British hold this area. So they're going to treat their dead relatively well. They build a nice big tombstone for him and engrave it, etc. He has a nice grave there. Well, over the years, as people become more, well after the Revolutionary War, when people become more interested in the Battle of Fort Mercer, there became this practice of visitors taking a piece of Count Dunlop's tombstone. They would actually go and chisel away pieces of tombstone as a souvenir that they were here and they have a piece of the tombstone, which is so eerie and bizarre, but this is what went on. And it is said that the tombstone got withered away to nothing. That actually every piece of the tombstone was taken as a souvenir. So there's no tombstone there presently. And it's also said that it even got so bad that when the tombstone was gone, people started to take pieces of Dunlop himself. They began to rob the grave. This became such a problem there that you had grave robbers taking pieces of his body, bones, as well as clothing or anything else that was in the grave was taken as souvenirs. These ghoulish people that wanted to do this. I don't know why they would do such a bizarre thing, but they did. And as a result of that, they say that's what really disturbed Dunlop's grave and which made him begin to rise and walk. And many people say they see him at times missing parts of his body. And it is said that those are the parts of the body that were stolen as souvenirs. Like an arm will be missing, or a hand will be missing, or a leg will be missing. So it's quite a disturbing sight to see this ghost without an arm or a leg because his bones were taken from his grave. Quite a creepy type of thing that would scare away most people, I would think. And it said that von Dunlop, the Hessian commander who died in the Battle of Fort Mercer, or actually died in Greenfield Hall, was mortally wounded in the Battle of Fort Mercer, is said to still be there and welcomed by the workers, the historical workers at the place. So there you have it, the New Jersey Hessian, the New Jersey spook Hessian that was actually the Headless Horseman's boss, I guess. You know, it's Headless Horseman's commander at the Battle of White Plains. So he becomes a spirit himself, mainly because of people engaging in ghoulish activities of stealing and disturbing a grave, which is something you should never do. You know, a Christian certainly should never do that, but nobody should do that. No one should ever do that. And this is what happens when you do that. You know, you disturb a spirit, and that's what happens. So say a prayer for Count von Dunlop. Hopefully he'll find rest, he'll find peace. But the people at the historical site kind of summon him by lighting those candles. So who knows? They kind of like his company, I guess, since he hasn't passed over. They like his company, I should say. So there you have it. The other Hessian of the Revolutionary War, the other Hessian spirit, Count Karl Emilius Ulrich von Dunop, the Hessian ghost of New Jersey. All right, there's your third and final story of the evening. I hope you enjoyed them. All right. Let's see what else we've got here. Let me close out some of these windows. I got a lot of windows open here. We don't need that. This confuses me. Makes things more difficult. We don't need that. We don't need that. All right. All right. So let's get ready for a part of the show that a lot of people like. All right. Let's see what we can do. If we can do some debunking, we can do some debunking. Let's see what happens. All right. And here are my trusty, one of my trusty, reliable co-hosts for debunking. How are you,
Hello.
Osada? How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Yourself?
Good.
Good to see you.
Yes, good to see you. All right. I see our cohort is nowhere to be found, but that's
Nope,
okay.
of course not.
It's okay. All right, let's see what we got here. All right. Now, this first one is taken outside in the woods. So I like the avatar. So he's there. He's here in spirit in the avatar.
He's knocked out the wrench.
Oh boy.
Hi, Delilah, Gina, Donna.
All right, so let's do this. All right, here we go. Now
there he is. He's in the chat. Here's the link.
Oh, he's in the chat. Oh, okay.
We put it in the text, you dummy.
Yeah, it's I didn't put the link in the chat. I sent you the link, guys. Hello, Slim. Good to see you, buddy. By the way, check out Slim's show. I'm sure he'll be going live tonight. He normally does on a Friday. It's always a good time. Check out Slim's show. Right. Let's see here. Well, he's not coming up wherever he is. I don't know what he's doing. All right. All right. Let's see here. All right. Let's start with this one. All right. So, like I said, this is taking place. It's filmed in a wilderness with a flashlight, I guess, being shined in the wilderness. They heard noise, and they shine this in the wilderness outside their home. And this is what they capture. Now look in the trees. Look at this in the trees. It's going to play a couple of times. All right. Now, let me go back in slow motion here and see if I can. All right. So this is obviously, it looks to me, right? It looks to me like it could be someone hanging by a tree, right? But it's not a full body, right? It's kind of, if you look like this is not the full body. Like there's no legs kind of here. I only see one arm. So hold on. Let's see if I can go. Now here's what makes me think that this is doctored. Look at how it's over from this particular shot. Look how it kind of looks like it's part of the tree. Like it's almost AI, as if it's coming out of the tree. like the trunk of the tree. I don't know.
There's no context behind this, right? There's no
No,
people. Yeah.
no. But I mean, like this is to me, this is weird because it looks like here's a tree, right? And it's kind of emerging from the trunk of the tree.
Yeah, it's almost like it's like it was put there.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like it's a
Yeah.
suspended, certain, maybe not hanging, but it's like my mom used to do a lot of Halloween decorating, and it kind of gives me those vibes a little bit, like a mannequin type of thing. I don't
And
know.
right, and it's not swinging, right? It's not like it's on a rope swinging. It's almost as if it's like nailed to the tree or something like that. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, certainly something that would creep you out if you see this. If your flesh, you're going through and suddenly you see this in the trees, you're gonna be like, "Wow, what is that?" You're gonna be scared. Um, but
Oh yeah. I mean, if I would lived in the middle of the woods, I would announce like you have 10 seconds to say something, or I'm shooting and right in your direction.
right, right, exactly. But yeah, I mean, like this is, and it looks like. Let's see what the chat says. So the chat says, Donna says, "I say it's fake." Todd Father, something standing in the tree stand. Sweet Tea, somebody went to relieve themselves behind the tree. It's a little high for that, though, I think, Sweet Tea. Zelda says, looks like it's part of the tree. The arm looks like a branch, Donna says. What else do we have here? Looks like a blurry picture of somebody in dark pants.
And it almost looks like they have a cast on their arm or something. It looks like the bottom.
Yeah, you're right. That's a good observation. It looks like this whiteness down here at the lower part, like the hand area. It looks like, yeah, it's just so, it looks doctored or fake. It just doesn't look real to me at all. So, and why can Todd Father comment in the chat, but he can't? I can't log
That's
in.
what I'm saying. We shouldn't even read his comments. Like he's just causing us a headache. You know what I mean?
All right, hold on a second. He can't log in. All right, hold on. All right, this is only for Todd Father. So if he can log in, hold on. Let's see. In the chat, it's only for Todd Father. All right, so let's get rid of this. This is a fake. This is going down as fake. Okay. Now,
let me take on. Better change my avatar if he's coming up.
Let's see what happens here. Oh, I'm going to save this one for last. I don't want to do that one yet. Okay. Next. Okay, this one. All right. This one involves a dog. Pets are always intriguing to me because when it comes to these type of videos, because a pet isn't going to. Hold on, wait. There we go. Hello.
What's up?
How are you? All right. All right, let's see. Now, watch this. This is going to see a dog come into the picture here. And watch what happens to the dog. He's going to walk along. Now, watch what happens to him.
Oh.
Creepy, right? Like, what caused that to happen? And I'm going to slow it down. I'll play it again, and I'll slow it down.
He looks like he got scared.
Yeah.
I mean, like, wow. I mean, like, he really, really got scared. I mean, like, what? He jumps out of his skin type of thing. And this is the source. This is the place where I got it, whatever that is. It was in the Philippines. All right. So, hold on. Let's look at it in slow motion again. Let's see what happens here. All right. So he comes out. He's walking along. La la la. And then he's like, here's where it happens. He like freaks out, and so much so that his hind legs fly in front of him, right? Like whip around
I wonder if he got like hit with something
or
he can't
pulled,
see, or
or like yanked,
like bit
maybe.
or something. I don't know. Like it's weird. Oh, maybe he had one of those shock collars on. And he barked and
I've never seen those. I mean, I've heard of them, but I've never seen how it affects the dog. Does
I
that
don't think it
happen?
would. I honestly don't think that would happen. No.
Well, unless it's AI, I mean, one thing's for sure, dogs aren't going to like BS, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So like
yeah.
definitely either scared or pulled him. And I always pay attention to animals, like, especially at night.
Mm-hmm.
I see them look around at something, I'm on it right away. Like, what are you looking at? What's going on?
Right. So Donna says maybe a big spider bit him since it's in the Philippines. It could be. Yeah, I guess that could happen. Sure. Yeah. Hey Ben, how are you, Ben? Good to see you. I don't know. I mean, it's just really disturbing to me to see the dog. Like it looks like the dog is in pain or something. Like something hurt him. So that's what's kind of disturbing to me. I hope this is not a fake where they yanked him violently or something like that to make this happen. So I don't know. I don't know about this one.
It almost looked. I don't know. Looks. You think they like pulled him forward?
That's what I mean. Like it's almost as if like
Yeah.
there was a rope on his hind leg. I mean his hind legs, right? And someone yanked his hind legs.
Like he yanked him forward.
Yeah. Because you see them, it whips like his hind legs whip around.
He reacts to something, so it might have been an
Yeah.
initial pull. I don't know. Oh man, that's weird.
Yeah, and again, there's no context to this. So it's not like you can analyze the discussion, analyze their explanation or break down their explanation one way or the other. There isn't one. So, all right. So I can't say for a fact it's fake. It's not like I can't see a string, I can't see a rope or anything like that. It could be, but there could be natural explanations. Like Donna said, it could be the dog got bit by something. It could be he got so startled that he jumped out of his skin. I don't know. There's reasonable explanations for it. It's not just this necessarily has to be a ghost yanking him, or pulling him, like that.
Yeah. Oh, it's night vision, right?
Yes, it's a night camera. Yep. Yep. All right. Now let's see. What's my next one here?
Oh, I never changed my name.
I know, Salad S. Yeah. Yeah. All right. This is two things. This one is two things. So tell me what you think about this. Now I'm going to play it. The first one is a picture of. It's a still picture. It's one of these situations where the reflection doesn't match the person in the mirror. The reflection in the mirror doesn't match the person. So take a look at this. Now she's sitting in front of the mirror here and she's looking away from the mirror. But you see her looking away from the mirror in the mirror.
Yeah.
And this is not a digital
There's
photo.
got to be another mirror somewhere.
This is an analog photo. It's not a digital photo. So it's old. It's from the 80s or 90s, like early 90s, I think. But so do you think there's a mirror like where from our perspective, there's a mirror here? So that basically that mirror is reflecting the mirror that's here. Do you think that's the case?
Yes.
Osada, what do you think?
Sorry, I was muted. So it's even possible the way that if you look to the left, and how you could. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Mhm. It's like
Um,
feedback of some type. I don't know what that was about.
is
Okay,
is
go.
this better now? I accidentally
Yeah.
hit a wrong button. Are we better?
Yeah, that's better. Sure.
Okay. It's not a mirror. Maybe that's it goes into the other room, and that's a lady looking through the thing. I mean, it's unlikely, but if you look to the left, the way that room, the layout of it,
Uh-huh.
there is, you know what I mean? Like maybe that's not even a mirror. That's a different
So
person.
what
looking
about
out.
this bottle though? Here, this bottle, you see the reflection of the bottle here.
Yeah, no, 100%. And the
Yeah.
only thing is unless they stayed, maybe they staged it to look like that,
Yeah. Yeah.
like it's almost like a movie set. I don't know. It just to me, it doesn't even look like a mirror. That's just my first thought.
Right. Right. I think the dual mirror thing is probably the most logical explanation here. I kind of agree with Todd Father here. It's if there happens to be a mirror on this side, it would show the mirror would show this mirror would show the reflection of the other mirror. Yeah.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Now there's feedback again.
Yeah, I don't know what that's about. But here's the question though. Okay, I get that, but how come you don't see this woman's back of her head also? Wouldn't you see both? Wouldn't you see the back of her head and the front reflection? Wouldn't you see both?
Yeah.
That's what's weird about this. I would think you'd see the back of her head to the right, and then you'd see her face to the left.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think that's impossible to have a picture, to have it like that with the mirror,
Mhm.
unless they're using some type of really weird photography. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Maybe you're
No.
right though. Maybe it is. Maybe that's like the kitchen. The other lady just in like that little nook there.
It
And
could
there was
be,
just
Osada's,
yeah,
Osada's,
right.
yeah. Your first inclination probably makes more sense because you don't see her back of her head here. So it could be a different person. We really can't see, you know what I mean? We can't see it that closely that we could say it's definitely her face. It's kind of far.
And you know what else is weird too is that it almost looks like if you look at the very top line, you can see like there's a distance between that wall and that mirror. It's hard to tell towards the sides and the bottom, but at the very
Mhm.
top, it looks like it's reset. You know what I mean? Like it's back farther.
Yeah. And
Maybe
Donna
not a
says
lot.
the ladies' faces don't look, they look different. Donna thinks the ladies' faces look different. And you couldn't, yeah, I think you can argue that. They look different. I think you're right. That they look similar, but I think you could say they're different people. Yeah, this one's intriguing. This one's intriguing. Todd Father, the feedback's coming from you on that for some reason. I don't know why. That was weird.
Okay.
All right. I don't know. That was weird. It came because I saw your face light up, like the avatar light up when I heard my voice. So
Okay.
but it's okay now. I don't hear it now. All right, so I don't know. I don't think we solved this one. I don't think this one can be solved. Honestly, I don't know what it is.
That's a good one because I mean, it's just hard to figure out. And even though it's not really like a paranormal thing, maybe, but it's a very like puzzling picture. I like it. It's a really cool picture. I'd like to have a picture of that in my house. You know what I mean?
Zelda says the hair looks different. Yeah, you're right. The hair does look a little different. I think she's right. And Sino, what does Sino say? Sino Evil says reminds me of an old Italian basement setup. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. She's got the boots.
I got my big screen too, so I just muted the sound. So maybe that was it.
Okay. She's got the boot. She's rocking the boots and the leggings there and the sweater. So it's like the 1990s there. But it's definitely pre-digital, this photo.
It's a cool pic.
Yeah. All right. Let's get rid of this. What am I doing here? All right. Oh, wait. No. I don't want to get rid of that because there's two things on that reel. Hold on. Let me put it back. Let's see here. Let me play it because there's more on here. Let's go forward here. Now, this is a fire. This is a campfire type of situation. Now, look at the blurred images in it. The first one is to the right of this woman sitting here. And then the image appears over here in the empty chair. And then there's a head-on picture of the chair right here. So first you have it there. Then this is from another angle. So I don't know. What do you think about this?
Well, I mean, it's hard to say, but there's a really good chance that it could have something to do with the smoke since it's by a fire. But that picture right there.
This is creepy because this looks like a leg, someone with their leg crossed.
Oh, 100%.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, wait, but let's go back and look at the woman. Does the woman have her leg the same way? This might be a reflection of the woman. Hold on. Let's go back.
Off of what?
This woman right here. See how her leg is? Her leg is crossed like that?
Yeah.
Right? Now, look at the leg here. The leg is crossed the same way. And her arm is resting the same way. So, I don't know. I mean, like, I think that could be her. I think that this could just be her in some type of.
Yeah, you're right, because.
Well, and she switched chairs. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're right, because the fire is different, right? The fire.
No, there's nobody in that middle chair.
Yeah.
That's in that shot.
But now it looks like she's going to sit in that far chair, though, in that picture.
Right, because look where the fire is, right? Like, I mean, I'm sorry, look where the firewood is, not the firewood that's burning. See where the firewood is here? Now, hold on. Now, the firewood is now in this picture. Wait, with the picture we're talking about here, the firewood's right in front of this chair.
Right.
So it's a different chair.
But the other picture, though, she's going to sit in that chair right there. Go back. If you see, not that one. Right there.
Yeah, it's the same woman.
She's got her hand on the chair.
Yes.
And so she's going to sit in that chair right there.
Right. She's going to sit in that chair, and she's probably going to sit the same way she sat in the previous chair.
Yeah.
Which would make sense, right? So I don't know why this would come out like this. I think she's sitting there, but I don't know why why the camera would be what it appears. I think she's just sitting in this chair, and it came out like this for some reason.
Yeah, I agree. Like there's actually somebody there, maybe. Yeah. Yeah, because otherwise it looks like Batman sitting in the chair, like Batman that got frostbite or something. I don't know.
Mr. Freeze got into a Batman over there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's see. What do we got here? We got See No Evil says reflection of smoke, possibly misty.
No, is this a video or pictures?
These are still pictures.
I could have been how the flash took it too, though. You know.
Yeah.
She could have been like moving, or I don't know. And then the flash, who knows?
And Sweet Tea says it's an X-ray where a person was. Yeah, and well, going back to Donna, she said, how does it project to the other chair? You're right, it doesn't. But I think we solved that because you see her moving to a different chair in the picture between. So my guess is ultimately that there's a lens malfunction with this camera, and what's causing this, because same thing goes for these other pictures. There's a blur in these other pictures too, but it's not the same. There's always a blur there, right? So here's a blur here, and there's a blur here.
Yeah.
So
it reminds me kind of a ghost bear story that happened to me when I was camping one time. I don't know if I told it to you. It's a real quick story. We show up at a campsite in Eastern Washington in the middle of nowhere. We didn't get there till like midnight. And we set up our tent in the dark. We all had our own tents, and I hear a bear a little ways away growling, and it scared the shit out of me. I pointed my flashlight at it, and it was a tent. It was like a big dude rolling around, just grunting. And he's like, "Hey, get that flashlight off of me."
oh my
And
Lord.
I was like, "Oh, I'm sorry. My bad."
What in the world?
What I thought was a bear or a ghost or something. I mean, it terrified me. I was like, "What the fuck is that?" And it was just we couldn't see, because it was dark. And then I apologized again to him the next day. I'm like, "I'm so sorry. I felt like an idiot." He's like, "Oh, it's no big deal. No big."
Well, why was he rolling around like a bear in the dark? I don't know.
Well, he was in his tent like sleeping, and he's just like, he's just like, I don't know. He was just like,
What did it sound like?
He was like, or something like that. I don't know what the fuck he was doing. And I'll tell you what, I froze, guys. Like my body went cold. I thought I was going to get eaten by a bear or something. And you know what? The bear, when we left that campsite, it was just a little brown bear. It was like running down when we were driving down the road. So they're out there. But yeah, I'd never been so scared in my life. I was like, what the fuck is that? And it was just a dude in a tent. And he's like, get that light off of me.
You must have smoked some good stuff that night, man.
Oh, and there was a bunch of us there. Everybody was laughing, and it was just, oh my god! But that's a true story. We just could not see. I didn't really see, but I swear I thought it was a bear.
Like, yeah, I mean, I would probably think so too. I mean, if he's grunting like
Sorry, I just had to tell that story.
No, that's a good one. That's a good one.
I don't know if you guys go camping, but I get spooked when I'm camping, like I don't, I mean, even like if you're at a campfire and then you feel like cold behind you, that's just kind of creeps me out sometimes, you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I'm with you on that. I mean, I don't go camping often, believe me. I remember as a kid, I would go camping with the Cub Scouts, and I used to be scared as hell at night. We'd be in cabins though, and I was still scared. Like we were at a place where there were cabins you'd go into, but I'd have to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night, and you had to go out into the pitch black dark. If you had to take a pee, you had to go out and find a tree in the middle of the dark, and oh my God, was that scary. Yeah. That was scary stuff.
I bet.
If anybody wants to hear a good camping joke, go to my channel and see how we got Osada on it.
Yeah,
I'll just leave it there.
Yeah.
That was good. That was funny.
Gina has a question here. Why was he grunting like a bear? What are you doing camping in a place where a guy is grunting like a bear next to you?
That's a good question. It was like Black Pine Lake, and we went with my buddy Joe. I had never been there before, and like I said, it was in the middle of nowhere. Really, I had no idea what was out there.
Why did you wait till dark?
I don't even. This was like 20 something. I have no idea. I think one of my buddies was just he was just running late or something. We had to go to Seattle and this and that, pick everybody up. And his family was out there. It was the first time I ever ate oysters. They open-fired oysters and champagne, and I can't stand that kind of stuff. But I just did it just because they were old, and it wasn't bad. But yeah, I don't. He was just a big guy with a beard, and making noise. I mean, you know, he probably didn't even make that big of a noise, but in my mind, that I heard a bear, you know, like growling at me, like I'm coming for you, and I could just feel my body go cold, and that's why I shined the light, and I was like, oh, you know, like what? And he's like, get that light off of me. I think he goes, hey, get that light off of me.
All right, we got to make a clip of that whole story. Oh Lord.
Yes, let's see what ChatGPT can do with that clip. All right, let's get rid of this. One more, and this one. And just so you guys know, most of these clips I get from there's several sites that I get from on YouTube. One is Slap. It's called Slapped Ham. That's one of the sites. The other one is Nuke's Top 5. And then the newest one I go to is something called Top Man 10, something like that. So there are basically 3 sites that I get it from. And this last one I got from Reddit, though. This last one, because Reddit is a little bizarre at times, the stuff that shows up on Reddit, but it's good for stuff like this. So I follow a couple of people on Reddit who put up supposed paranormal stuff. So look at this one. This one creeped me out. So I'm interested to see what you guys think. All right. Now there's two videos here of the same thing. The top one, I believe, is slow motion. Yes, the top one's slow motion. The bottom one is regular motion. But I'll play it, and you tell me what you think. I think I have the slow motion when I record it, so hold on. Now watch from the right side. Look what happens from the right side of the film, the top one. Now, the story behind this is that this guy was sleeping in his bed, and every night he seems to be bothered by something, and night terrors and such, and he wakes up and he feels something. He feels like something is happening, so he takes out his phone and starts recording, and this is what he gets on it: this black figure type of thing that comes into the room. You see the doorway in the distance and goes to the left.
This one, I believe.
I mean, like this would scare me if I saw this,
this happened
somewhere.
To me one time when I was a kid.
Let me speed this up a little bit. Hold on. So look at this. Now look at this. Is scary to me. Look at this. How it comes up. It forms into a body right here, right? You see a head, shoulders, and legs. I mean, arms. It kind of materializes into a body here, and then like kind of like disappears into like that flash of light or something, like there, or the absence of the darkness, and then it comes back again towards the camera. There it is, peeking out again, right to the left. So I don't know, man. That would really scare me.
Have you guys ever been asleep and been paralyzed where you can't move?
Yep.
So that's happened to me when I think I was like 13 or 14, and I heard my door creak open. It was like because it just creaked when it opened, and then there was a silhouette of a dude that I would describe as like a Freddy Krueger type of thing with the hat type of thing, but it was just a silhouette, and I was completely paralyzed, and I could not move at all. I couldn't even breathe.
Wow.
And then it like just walked out of the room, and my mom and dad's room was next to me. And I think I was in like a freshman in high school. I mean, I went in their room and screamed and I slept in between them for a couple hours. I was that terrified.
Man, you're bearing it all tonight, huh, Sada?
I mean, and then I had a really good friend who that he would get paralyzed, and there would be like this creepy old lady, he said, that would be sitting on his chest, and he couldn't move.
Oh boy.
Yeah, so I do believe in that kind of stuff. The shadow people, they call them.
Look at McHugh. He's such a clown. It's only scary if you believe it. Well, what is it then?
Well, Don scares ghosts, so they don't come around.
Yeah. I mean, like, what do you mean? What do you believe it? So you don't believe it. What is it then? If you don't believe it, what is this? What is this that's in this person's room? So I don't know.
I had totally forgot that happened to me until I seen that, and then I was like, I just already know. Like, I'm not saying that that's 100% real, but it is 100% legit that does happen, because it happened to me. So, and I mean, maybe I was imagining things, but back then, when I was 14, I didn't smoke pot. I didn't do any drugs. I didn't do anything.
Mm-hmm.
I was just a normal kid.
Yeah, I don't know. Listen, I've heard countless stories about that. Countless stories of people that get night terrors where they're paralyzed and they can't move. And
it's happened a few other times where I get paralyzed and I can't move, but that was the only time where there was like actually somebody or something standing over me. And I mean, it was terrifying. That was the first time it ever happened,
Right.
So. Do you think you were fully awake when that happened?
That's what I questioned my sanity forever. And I was, when you're 14, you just don't know. I swear I was, I would bet my life on it, but I still, like, the back of my mind, I don't, I had to, I kind of wanted to believe that I wasn't, you know what I mean? Yeah. It just, I don't know. It's hard to say. It's hard to say, but a lot of people have that same feeling. So I don't know. Haven't had it for a long time.
So Stoney does cat tranquilizers, he says. That happened to me when I did cat tranquilizers.
Oh my God.
Well, he might be talking about ketamine, which is a horse tranquilizer, and they do give ketamine, therapy now. You can go and get IVs and little sublinguals and stuff like that. My buddy did it. I'm not a huge fan of doing it myself.
All right. So See No Evil says, my friend's house was haunted. His father was a photographer and developed his own photography in the photo room. He always said he felt someone touching him in the development room. So the question I have, See No Evil, is: are you saying that your friend's father's ghost, or was
that his grandfather died in the house? So,
his grandfather. So in other words, all right.
Todd's going to get a kick out of this one. So you guys remember I told you my ghost story at the pizza place, right?
Yes, you did tell it. Yeah, and Todd wasn't here for it though, but you did tell it.
Well, fast forward 2 years, and I'm growing pot now, okay? And I have 2 rooms full of marijuana, and during part of the 12-hour cycle, it has to be completely dark in there. Well, I had to go into my grow room for something, and you have to leave the lights off. You can turn a green light on, but I didn't have the green light on. It's completely dark. I swear something touched my crotch. I know that sounds weird, and it fucking freaked me the fuck out. I flipped the fuck out, and I couldn't see because it was pitch black in there. And I knocked over like 3 of my plants and banged into the wall and finally got the fuck out of there.
Oh my God.
It's a true story. I just had to tell it. It reminded me.
Are you sure it wasn't the guy from the camping trip?
It could have been a branch from the marijuana plant, and it might have been, but
it probably was.
I thought somebody fucking grabbed my fucking crotch real quick. And it freaked me. I mean, I fucking flipped the fuck out because it was pitch black in there. I mean, and I was like that dog that in that video where I went sideways like that too. I get scared easy on shit like that.
Oh my gosh. Oh my. Wow. Okay. Interesting revelations, everyone, tonight from Osada Treats. But this one, I don't have an explanation for at all. I don't. This one, I don't know what this is at all. It's definitely creepy. Whether it's paranormal or not, I don't know. I can't think of any earthly explanation for this. Like, what's the earthly explanation? There isn't. If what this guy's saying is true, that he just woke up and he took out his camera, his phone, and just started filming. There's no explanation for why this would happen. That little creepy head looking back at the end there is the worst part right there.
Yeah.
You know.
And I mean, it's very easily faked, but again, it could be 100% legit. I don't think there's any way of telling, but me personally, I'm leaning a little bit towards legit.
Mm-hmm.
So
Osada's like Little Shop of Horrors over there. Plants
Feed
are alive.
Feed me, Seymour. Feed me.
That's funny.
Why are you whining, Koopy?
Another time my friend used to play the drums in the attic too, and he would use headphones to listen to the music. He said he knew when to stop when he heard a screeching sound. Okay. I don't understand this one. Oh, see, no. Like, what does that mean?
Must have heard the screeching sound in the guy's headphones.
So the screeching sound was what? The spirit, or like a spirit, or a ghost, or something?
That must have been the signal from a spirit to stop playing. I don't know.
Oh, you didn't like him. You didn't like his playing. All right.
Guy must have sucked.
Yeah.
So,
hey, Gerard. Good to see you, buddy. Good to see you. We're just about wrapping up, by the way. So,
Gerard, listen to the last 20 minutes if you want to find out some.
If you want to
cool
laugh
about Osada.
If you want to laugh, listen to the last. Yes, listen to the last 20 minutes of the show, and stay away from campsites. That's the moral of the story. Don't go camping.
Yeah, don't grow pot and then go in the room in the dark.
At least not if I'm there, because I for whatever reason I just attract them weirdo creepo fucking ghosts or whatever.
Well, the pizza parlor story is scary, honestly.
Yeah, that one's 100%. Yeah. They're all legit, but I mean, I don't really think somebody grabbed my crotch, but no, that pizza one is legit for sure.
Yeah, that one's creepy. That's and then last week or the week before, we looked at a video that reminded you of that, but I think we debunked that one, and we thought that we said that one was a dog that ran by.
Well, yours is pretty freaky too, though, right? Because you said you were walking through a tunnel.
Yeah, there was no, like, I didn't see anything. I didn't, you know what I mean? I didn't see anything myself with my eyes. I just felt it. I just felt the spirit overcoming me, like the wind overcoming me. And I heard the sounds of footsteps coming up on my left side as if the runner was going to pass me. And then this gust of wind came over me. And I don't have an explanation for it at all. I don't. So
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
For Osada.
Yes. Go ahead.
Osada, I mean, when you were feeling lonely, did you go in the pot room when it was dark? Or?
Well, that's not as long as you didn't go over to the guy with the camping site when you felt lonely. That's
I put on some cologne.
Oh my god!
Oh, I gotta go. I have a huge day tomorrow. I gotta leave my house at 6:15 a.m. and I'll get home till 1:00 in the morning.
Oh wow! What are you doing? Is it selling? Selling event?
I got the Maple Valley Farmers Market, and then a 2-hour break, and then I got the Haunted Forest.
Okay, cool.
Tomorrow, yeah. So
I got a long day too.
Best of luck with that.
Yeah,
I got to leave the house by 11, and I probably won't get home till 12:30 at night. I'm DJing a wedding that's almost 2 hours away.
Oh wow!
And the whole event's 7 hours, and then I got to drive, back home. So.
Oh wow!
Be a long day, so I might go on late night on my way home. Who knows? All
right, man. Let us know.
It'll be very late. Well, actually, like 10:30.
I'll be doing nothing tomorrow at all, so I'll be around.
All right.
I'll be making wine. I think I'm going to make wine tomorrow. I'm going to start the winemaking process because I got to do it soon. I bought these grapes and I haven't done anything with them yet. So
Just keep the lights on.
yes, I will not let the grapes grab me in the crotch area. That's for sure.
You need to edit out the last half an hour of this show.
Hey, you know what you get when I come up. I just got to be
man.
All right, guys. Have a great night. We'll see you.
All right, guys. Thanks so much for coming up. Appreciate it.
Yep. Bye, chat.
All right. Thanks, Anthony.
All right. Bye-bye. All right, guys. Well, that's the show for tonight. Thank you so much for hanging out as long as you did. We went an hour and 45 minutes, which is pretty long for us. But we had we had a bunch of stuff that we did. It's only 3 stories, which I thought I think I did more in depth each story. So, and I was glad to get feedback from you guys. And the paranormal segment, I think, was more interactive with you guys, which is awesome too, with the chat, people giving their side of what they thought was happening. Thank you to Osada and Todd Father for coming up, because it does help and makes it a lot easier to bounce ideas off of one another as we try to debunk these supposed paranormal videos and pictures. So as always, I'll say thank you so much for joining. I appreciate each and every one of you. Think about hitting the like button. That's always cool. Think about hitting the like button. Also, think about that hype button. That hype button. I'm still playing with this hype button. If you see the hype button on there, hit the hype button. They keep saying that does something, that the hype button will put you in the algorithm and share it out. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. So, and as always, if you think about supporting the channel, please consider becoming a member. That's always helpful. And more members content is coming down the road. So there'll be something to benefit for becoming a member. So think about that. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. Have a wonderful weekend. As always, I'll say on behalf of Lenny, Victor, and Edgar, please stay scared, because it's always fun. And have a wonderful weekend. God bless as I blow up my candles. Have a great night.